Right?
Bathing suit, costumes, but no wetsuit. There's been plenty of different kind of costume ideas, so that's kind of neat to see.
And no Speedos. Make sure you're covered up as much as you can be. We'll give you that advice as well, too.
Yes.
She is Andrea Ratchko with Special Olympics Michigan. Thanks so much for this information, Andrea, on the polar plunges for Special Olympics. Sounds like a great event. And again, get signed up today at specialolympicsmichigan.org. It's SOMI.org. Let me give you the website one more time. SOMI.org, or you can call 800-644-6404. You've been listening to Clearly Community here on this Clear Channel station.
Clearly Community is a public affairs program of Clear Channel Media and Entertainment. Clearly Community is brought to you by Huntington Bank. Listen again next week at this time for another segment of Clearly Community right here on your favorite Clear Channel Media and Entertainment radio station.
It's perfect for the drive into work.
iHeartRadio introduces Perfect For.
It's perfect for getting me through the workday.
The perfect tunes for the mood and moment.
It's perfect for the ride home.
All at the touch of a finger. Perfect For. It's perfect for anything. 1,500 live radio stations. 15 million songs. And custom stations perfect for any time. Best of all, it's free. Download the app at iHeartRadio.com. iHeartRadio is now available on the new Hewlett-Packard Indy X2 with Windows 8.
Betsy, look at these sweaters. They'd look amazing on our girls.
Maybe.
Come on, what's wrong?
Suzanne, I have no business being in the store. I should not be shopping. Things are really tight. We're behind on our mortgage.
Listen, Bill and I had the same problem, and we got some really great counseling, and it was free. I'm going to email you the information.
If you even think you may be in danger of foreclosure, call the National Foundation for Credit Counseling today at 866-687-6322 or visit mortgagehelpnow.org. Public service from the NFCC.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. A fire in a nightclub in Brazil has killed 180 and injured more than 200. Reports say the club had just one exit.
Some people tried to escape in the bathroom, but couldn't. It's a terrible scene. Here, Brazil is the biggest tragedy from south of Brazil in this history.
Local reporter Nicholas Fonseca. Credit card users could be in for some unpleasant surprises.
Your favorite department store, restaurant, or even a convenience mart could start tacking on fees to your bill if you decide to charge your purchase with your Visa or your MasterCard. It could be as high as 4%. The credit card companies had always prohibited merchants from passing processing fees on to consumers, but as per a class action settlement agreement between the retailers and the card companies, they now can, starting today.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown, Fox News. We report, you decide.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well,
Good morning, Muskegon. This is EyeOnMuskegon, and I'm Jim Riley, your host for this community conversation. And I'm here in Muskegon's Clear Channel studios with my friend and engineer, that legendary Oscar, Mr. Tick-Tock, Oscar Oswald. Morning, Oscar.
Morning. You know, you heard of the $6 million man. I am the $71,000 man, so thank you very much.
There we go. There are tax dollars at work, and well spent, I might add.
Bigger, stronger, better than before.
That's right.
Tall buildings with a single bottom.
There we go. And the bigger, better, stronger, and better before commentator here sitting with us again, back, author, MCC trustee, Sean Mullally. Morning, Sean.
Good morning, Jim.
And hey, at 9 o'clock hour, we've got I think a very, very interesting guest, as I think we typically do. But this gentleman, I think, might be more interesting than some, at least to those of us here in Muskegon County. Right after the 9 o'clock news, we've got City of Muskegon mayoral candidate, Dr. Zaudi Abiade, and I believe I have that pronounced correctly. We'll find that out in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll be talking about why he would be the best choice for the residents of Muskegon to become our next mayor. And that's a big deal because Muskegon County definitely drifts whatever direction the city of Muskegon drifts. And hopefully we'll stop drifting and we'll do other things beyond that. Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to talk about quickly, because the way things go, if I don't jump on things quickly, they tend to zip right through my mind and we don't address them. But I introduced Sean as author, among other things. Mm-hmm. And Sean, you have authored a book
I've got one book under my belt so far.
And it is available. The title of the book is We the Future. How about give just a quick ad for it, and then I'd like to just chat a bit about how you've been able to get this published and available to the public, because it's really kind of a cool story.
Yeah, We the Future, why today's generation is inheriting a broken democracy and what we can do to fix it.
Okay.
It's about equal parts. I describe it as equal parts history, economics, and politics. And you may agree with some things in it. You may not agree with everything in it, but it's my thoughts put out there, and I try to take a broad, deep look at history. So much political discourse has to do with what's the issue of the day. Let's examine this one issue to death, and then tomorrow we'll take the next issue. And I try to go back through the history of this country, through the Reagan era, the New Deal era, going back to the Founding Fathers era, and even farther back into deeper history. And I've really enjoyed the process. It is available online. I've had it in some local bookstores. I don't know if they still have any in stock.
I know they had it at Carmen's Cafe for a long time. I think it's still a couple copies there.
Yeah, and also the Book Nook Java Shop in Montague, and Book for the Season down in Lakeside. But it is always available on my website, SeanMullally.com.
Now, that's where it gets interesting to me, because you don't have connections with big-time New York publicists and publishing companies and agents. You were able to do this going online through an online company. You typed it, or not typed, I guess that's boy, you talk about an old-timey word. You typed it.
You used to get those at Goodwill. I've seen
yeah, there we go. But you did write it up on a computer, send it out to them electronically. But there's, to me, kind of an interesting story about how it's actually printed, because typically you've got to run 50,000 copies in order to get a publishing house interested. How did this work for you?
Well, I used an on-demand printer, which the place I went through is lulu.com. It's completely self-service, so you do you just type it up yourself, but you also do the formatting to the page, the layout, the cover art, and everything. You get it to their requirements to upload the completed book document, and then they keep it on their server, and you can order small batches, large batches.
What's the smallest batch you can order?
You can order a single copy.
Now, what would it cost? If I go online to SeanMullally.com, say I want to buy this book, I click on it, order it, I've got to put in my credit card information, whatever. What's it going to cost me?
$12 for
for
a single.
And you can make a profit on the $12.
And that's
even on a single book.
A small amount profit for me on top of the built-in shipping and printing cost.
Well, that includes shipping too.
Yeah.
Oh my golly!
Wow.
Unbelievable. Well, that's the future, and to me, that's these are the kinds of things that can be done in South Dakota, California, New York City, Muskegon County, Wyoming. They can be done any place with sharp people either writing a book or whoever's running this Lulu company. Very sharp people, obviously.
When you are writing a book, most of the there's a lot of work involved with the writing of the book and getting it ready to print and everything. But especially if you're self-publishing like this, so much of the effort is marketing. You get out there, you got to introduce people to the book, make them aware of it and everything. If you go through a big publishing house, of course, they do all that for you. But that's at least half of the work, I would say.
You're going to have a book signing at the Book Nook soon, or what?
I've had a couple around town. It would be nice to get up there. I do give a big tip of the hat to some of the locally owned independent bookstores like them, because when I had the book ready to sell, I walked into a local outlet of a national chain located out here on Harvey Road, and asked them if they would like to stock the book. And they shut me down right away. They said, "You need to talk to our buying agent in New York City."
Yeah. Well, this is to me one of the real joys of the web, that you can have that flexibility. I know that as a multiple Kindle owner, I download any number of books that are either free or 99 cents or $4 or whatever, relatively inexpensive.
Oh yeah.
But these are authors who never would have had an opportunity to get their books published, aside from having their ability like you have done on your own to go through the internet or electronically. And I think it's kind of interesting. One of the most successful authors in the last maybe 20 years or so, he hasn't written a whole lot lately, but Tom Clancy. His first book, Red Storm Rise, or no, it was... the name escapes me, but the first book that
he's been so prolific.
Well, it was a monster movie, and it was a monster book. But the first book, he couldn't. The Hunt for Red October, and he couldn't find a real legitimate publisher, and he ultimately settled on the Naval Institute Publishing because this book, of course, was about the Navy submarine. But so many books, and there's the stories are now just. There's so many of them, it's not even a unique story, but of publishers of books that become monster bestsellers that were unable to find anyone to publish the book. And, of course, without that kind of old-fashioned structure, that you were prisoners to that. Today, someone like yourself here in Muskegon County can write the book, get it published, and via the fabulous opportunities that you have here on Muskegon's Eye on Muskegon radio show, we can get to more people.
And see, now you can write a book, and people can pay you for what you got to say.
Instead of listen.
Right.
Or they get it free. There we go.
The on-demand printing really does lower the barriers to entry to new authors, but the e-books is even more so, because then there's no printing costs whatsoever.
Yes. Yep. And that's the next jump. But it's nice that people have the opportunity, because I know, as someone who does like to write letters to the editor, and I do a fair amount of writing on my own, you want other people to read it. Not necessarily, in my case, to make any significant amount of money from it, but just you don't want to take the time and the effort to write something, and you be the only one who's looked at it. So this is a great opportunity. It's a little aside from what we normally do here, but I think it's a great story. Good for you, Sean. And folks, SeanMullally.com. You can pick it up.
That's 4 L's, 2 and 2 in the last
Mullally. There we go. I finally... Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying beep. I was just forgetting it.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That was the old commercial. But
hey, we are a phone-in talk radio show here, and we do have great interest in your communication with us. And as I've said, we've had some problems in the past with being able to talk or being able to accept phone calls. We think we're better at it today. We do have a guest who will be in studio today, so you can call the entire hour and a half, and that number is 231-830-3109. So give us a call if you're interested in anything that we might have to say, have said, or even something that we haven't even considered whatsoever, because we do want to hear from you.
If they call and they hear us talking, they know they're online, so just to stay there, don't hang up. So,
yeah, well, that's another thing. When you call, sometimes it's not immediately clear that we have picked up the phone. So have a little patience with us. We're doing our best, and we do have, just like local book publishing, we have local radio. Hey, on this day in history, just a couple of things that I think are very important. This day in Germany, interestingly, is a day of remembrance for victims of Nazism, which, of course, the Germans are quite aware of. But I think it's important to understand the difference between Nazism and fascism. Nazism, obviously, is an evil governance,
a subset of
if you will. Well, no, not really. Fascism has very little to do with Nazism. It just happened to be the economic system that the Germans use, the Italians, and many, many other countries have used over the years. It's an entirely different issue. Nazism and fascism, two entirely different things.
Well, the term was coined originally by Mussolini.
Correct. And fascism, which it has, and I would say, sadly, we seem to be moving towards fascism today in this country, and not purely because of Democrats, but Democrats and Republicans. And fascism is a melding of government with business, the private-public partnerships that people are so happy to promote. But in fact, when you have, I just saw a statistic today, for every dollar spent by lobbyists in Washington, they get a $220 return in largesse, primarily money, from the federal government. And that's fascism, folks. And it may be the smallest part of it, but it is growing and growing and growing.
Well, and you just touched on a direct quote from Mussolini. And when he defined fascism, he says fascism is better described as corporatism, being the merger of state and corporate power.
Ooh, baby, I love that. I love that. Okay, then we're in total agreement. He's an author. There we go. And we have a singer who's telling us that we have to take a break. So we're going to be taking a little break here, and we will be right back.
Heads up. Radio Juniper is a new one-hour show every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on News Talk 1090 WKBZ. I think you'll like it, but Wednesday at 9 a.m. is when you watch People's Court. So, here's the solution. Turn the sound down on People's Court and turn the volume up on Radio Juniper. They sync together better than Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz. It's spooky. Google that reference if you need to, and I'll see you Wednesday on News Talk 1090 WKBZ.
Be a survivor, not a statistic. Renegade River in Spring Lake has new and used handguns, hunting guns, sporting goods, and survival gear. Protect your rights and your freedom. Ask about their CPL classes. Renegade River, next to the police station in downtown Spring Lake.
Geico says, let's make life simpler.
It's ironic. Sometimes technology makes life more complicated. Take your TV, for example. How many remote control devices does it take to change a channel? Geico, on the other hand, makes technology work for you. Your laptop, smartphone, tablet, no matter what device you have, no matter where you are, you're never more than a click or call away from Geico. It really is as simple as that.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Do you owe the IRS over $20,000 in back taxes, have unfiled returns, or are under audit? Are your receivables being levied? If you're an independent contractor or business owner, you must know your rights and options. The IRS has the power to take your receivables and shut you down. Tax Resolution Services can help. Tax Resolution Services will completely handle your case for you and deal with the IRS on your behalf and can negotiate a settlement of up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. Call Tax Resolution Services now at 866-IRS-PROBLEMS or log on to taxresolution.com.
Hi, folks. This is Tom Gresham, and I invite you to join me as I share safety tips, useful advice on buying and maintaining firearms, and having fun with the shooting sports on Gun Talk.
Sunday afternoons at 3 on News Talk 1090 WKBZ. News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes.
Every pocket of our clothes, that dadgum government. And they will continue to reach deep into those pockets if we let them, if we invite them into our pockets. So just be aware. And this isn't an issue that's Republican, Democrat, or Independent. This is, frankly, it's the little people. It's us against those people in government and those people who use government for their own gain quite often at the on our backs. But as we were talking about this day in history, a big death anniversary. This person, very famous, someone who we ought to be near and dear to everyone. This gentleman died. I don't have the year he died, but Mr. Thomas Crapper passed away.
Oh, an inventor.
The inventor of which apparently at one point was something called the Crapper after his last name. I can't tell you how thrilled I am that his name wasn't Thomas Riley. You know? So, nonetheless, we don't have a lot of people with the last name Crapper running around, at least not in this country.
But his descendants all changed their names.
That must have been the case. It must have been the case. There are not a lot of Hitlers running around Germany any longer either. And a birth anniversary, and I just found this an interesting combination, sadly, for those on the left. Maybe it's just perfect they were born on the same day. A very, very left-wing commentator, often fired because he seems to be so loony on this. Keith Olbermann, born today. And Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, sadly, both sharing the same birthday, sadly sharing some of the same political views themselves.
I'm sure neither one of them are happy about that coincidence.
I would suspect, I don't know. You know, it's hard to say what Mr. Olbermann's happy about. But, hey, a quote, and this has something to do with what we're going to be talking about today, because we'll be talking with an aspiring politician. But one of my all-time favorite authors, and a gentleman who I love to see when he's on television or radio, and I've read many of his books, Dr. Thomas Sowell, an eminent economist. Interestingly, he is a black conservative, which makes him quite unique in our world. But he's got a quote here that I think really highlights the things that a lot of my friends don't quite understand, and that is, Quote, no one will really understand politics until they understand that politicians are not trying to solve our problems. They are trying to solve their own problems, of which getting elected and reelected are number 1 and 2. And whatever is number 3 is far behind. And I've had so many conversations with many of my very smart friends and saying, oh my gosh, these idiots made another dumb move. No, they didn't make a dumb move at all. They made exactly the move they intended to make. We're the dummies because we reelect them or elect them at any level. Because in fact, they are pandering to the special interests, in many cases this fascism thing, but the special interests who are enabling their reelection. So just be aware of that. A couple things I want to touch on. We've got about 8-9 minutes remaining in this half hour. Last week there was a vote at the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners, and it was a vote to make 2 changes. They were relatively small changes, but they were changes nonetheless in the county's self-imposed prevailing wage policy. And Muskegon County, along with Wayne County and Genesee County, are one of the few counties in the state of Michigan that are a disaster financially, and of course have voted to impose this requirement of prevailing wage on county expenditures, which typically is not a big issue, but it will very much become a big issue if, in fact, the county goes ahead and spends anywhere between $20 and $50 million on a new jail. And we've had experts on in the past that have said, look, the costs are going to be minimum of 10% and could be as much as 30% more. So let's just say we had a $30 million jail. We could be talking in the neighborhood of between $5 and $10 million or more in additional costs for this jail because of this rule that's very easily changed. And the reason I say it's very easily changed was that the county commissioners just voted bingo to make 2 changes on it, and thereby continuing its existence. Now, a new county commissioner, Susie Hughes, didn't make her position clear as to whether she supported prevailing wage or did not. She simply asked question after question after question about what these new rules were to do and about the wisdom of having prevailing wage. We have that, by the way, on EyeOnMuskegon.com. It's the Ways and Means meeting, which happened a week this past Tuesday. She did not get a response. There was dissembling. There was not answering her question. There was comments about, well, it's a federal law. We have to follow the federal law, of course, which is totally bogus. I would hope that these folks are actually lying and not and not unaware of the fact that the federal law only covers federal expenditures. And then they said, oh, it's a state law. The state law only covers state expenditures. One would hope that the 9 county commissioners and our county supervisor and county attorney, who are both sitting there, would have understood that this prevailing wage law covers only county expenditures, and yet they kept bringing it up. It would make you sick because this county commissioner is just simply trying to find out the information, was not getting an answer, and pretty sad. And in the concept, or at least keeping up with the theme of not getting an answer, there was a couple of articles that were written by the Muskegon Chronicle this past week, and one really got me. This was written by a longtime writer for the Chronicle, David Alexander, and they headlines: Michigan works consolidation in downtown Muskegon to be done by July 1st, county officials say. And he reported what he was told, which is the move will bring 60 employees into the downtown Muskegon. They're going to move employees from different places, primarily within Muskegon County, to Terrace Plaza, which has been empty-ish for a long time. And but he started the first the headline, or the first sentence in the article says, the move will bring more than 60 employees to downtown Muskegon and will save the county $1.3 million over the course of a 10-year lease. And by the way, it doesn't actually say county commissioner said. So in other words, Dave Alexander has told us that the county and our leaders in their wisdom are going to save us $1.3 million. But then he goes on to say, because there's going to be a commercial rehabilitation district, that the taxes will be frozen on this property for 10 years. That the county, which currently has employees in county-owned buildings, will be moving employees from these county-owned buildings, which presumably they don't have to pay themselves for, into this new location. Also be moving employees from Orchard View Schools and the Goodwill Industries Center in Roosevelt Park.
I wonder what's going to happen to the locations they're moving from.
Well,
is that going to be?
That was my thought also. So on that. On M Live, where you have the opportunity to comment, I wrote specifically, wow, the county freezes property taxes. We'll move county employees from another county location to this one. We'll leave Orchard View Schools, Goodwill, and Oceana County with empty buildings. And the move, quote, will save $1.3 million. Certainly you saw the proof and the math before you wrote your piece. Can we see it? This is my intent was the Dave Alexander would have seen this, would have responded, because clearly if you're going to say the county's going to save a significant amount of money, you didn't just believe the county leaders. The county leaders could have said, we don't need a bus service anymore because everybody just grew wings and we're going to fly around. You might ask for some proof. And certainly as a reporter who has been told numerous times of promised savings, promised good results from various things from various elected officials, that he might be a little skeptical. Certainly Dave wasn't born yesterday. And the response that we got from the Chronicle was, they deleted my question. So that's the kind of public relations that the Chronicle has become for those folks in government. And I believe there's that public-private partnership again, where you've got a public company, in this case, which is the Muskegon Chronicle, who are, without any curiosity at all, believing any little bogus, and I think this is fairly clear this is bogus, because if the county had the proof that they're going to save $1.3 million and they had a nice spreadsheet, you can be sure they would have just, emailed that to him. How brilliant aren't we wonderful folks? So
look, it's Jim Riley. Delete. Oops.
There we go. Well, and I don't know who did the deletion. I just know that it was deleted. And you heard I read the entire response. But my only point is, time and again, and one of the reasons that much of our news media is hemorrhaging readers is that the folks do not believe what they're reading. And again, in this case, Dave Alexander wrote that this move will save the county $1.3 million over the course of a 10-year lease with Kalamazoo-based Tinman Company. So in other words, here's your private-public partnership again, folks. Got a private company, made a nice arrangement with the county, apparently a nice arrangement with Dave Alexander and the Muskegon Chronicle, too.
I think phrasing that as according to commission estimates.
Yeah, and it didn't say that. You asked that question earlier, and that was not what, that's not the way he phrased it. So Dave Alexander has essentially guaranteed this, and we'll talk to him, sure, at some point down the road.
He's a guest, isn't he, next week?
I've asked Dave to be a guest, and Dave has said, no, I think it's much more fun to delete. Your comments. Questions that are uncomfortable are best left deleted, don't you think? Hey, speaking of deleted, we're going to not delete ourselves, but we're going to put ourselves on hold. And we'll got the news coming up, and then we've got Dr. Abiade coming in talking about how he's going to change Muskegon, the city of Muskegon, for the better. So we'll be right back, folks.
Are you over the age of 25 and need to lose up to 30 pounds or more? If so, the next 60 seconds are crucial to your well-being because Sensa is sending 30-day free trials to anyone looking to lose weight simply through portion control, without calorie counting, meal plans, or traditional dieting. To experience effective weight loss results, you must be over 25 and want to lose up to 30 pounds or more. Call 1-800-951-1420 for your free 30-day trial. In a 6-month study, one of the largest of its kind ever conducted, participants lost an average of 30 pounds using Sensa. This weight loss breakthrough does not require added exercise. You just simply eat less. But act now. Due to overwhelming demand, there is a strict limit of 1 per household. Again, if you are over 25 and need to lose up to 30 pounds or more, it is crucial that you write down this number for your free 30-day trial of Sensa. Call 1-800-951-1420. That's 1-800-951-1420.
The Talk of Muskegon is News Talk 1090 WKBZ Muskegon and heard 24 hours a day on WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
A message from Liam Neeson, Orlando Bloom, Lawrence Fishburne, Salma Hayek, Mia Farrow, and Téa Leoni.
They do not have to die, but they do. 24,000 children every day.
They die for reasons we can prevent.
Like not getting enough food or medicine or clean, safe water to drink.
24,000 children every day.
But we are gaining ground. A generation ago, twice as many children were dying.
Still, 24,000 every day?
They do not have to die, but they do.
They die because they are young and vulnerable.
They die because through no fault of their own, they are poor.
24,000 children.
24,000 children.
24,000 children every day? My name is Téa Leoni.
My name is Salma Hayek.
My name is Orlando Bloom.
My name is Mia Farrow.
My name is Lawrence Fishburne.
My name is Liam Neeson, and I believe that number should be 0. Believe in 0.
Join the effort. Visit unicefusa.org.
Sirens, jet engines, car horns, leaf blowers. Today's world puts our sense of hearing on overload. Luckily, there are places we can go to refocus our senses. Our national wildlife refuges. It's amazing how much more you'll hear when you just take a minute to listen. Like a stirring chorus of songbirds warbling in the treetops. Or the industrious beaver slapping its tail in the mountain pond over baritone bullfrogs. Or the pulsating beat of a pileated woodpecker looking for a meal. When you hear these things, you're hearing the world the way we found it. With over 500 refuges across America, you don't have to go far to make a special connection with nature. Learn more at fws.gov/refuges. That's fws.gov/refuges.
It's your car. You take it to people you trust.
You're what rip out your linkage. That's just an estimate, little lady.
They're your children. You want to keep them safe.
Hey, kids, shut your traps!
It's your health. You want a doctor with experience.
Hey, Joan, I'm Skip, and I'll be your doctor today.
I'm fine. Thanks. It's your finances. You want to go to the experts.
Quick, Andy's. Cut your payments by 50.
Go to people with experience, real people you can trust.
We've got to find a way to get out from under this debt. We can help.
The National Foundation for Credit Counseling is a nonprofit organization that has been helping people for 60 years. Our certified counselors can help you eliminate your debt and teach you ways to stay out of debt. Speak with a counselor today at 800-388-2227 or visit debtadvice.org. National Foundation for Credit Counseling. Real solutions for real people. This is a public service campaign for the NFCC.
Neon, day glow, flashing lights, special effects. Today's world puts our sense of sight on overload. Luckily, there are places we can go to refocus our senses. Our national wildlife refuges. It's a wonder how much you'll see once all the distractions fade away. You may see a lone eagle soaring past massive snow-capped mountains, or a great horned owl perched stoically on a branch nearby. You may see the furry face of a baby sea otter curiously poking its head out of the dark blue sea, or ancient rocks shaped by centuries of wind. When you see these things, you're seeing the world the way we found it. With over 500 refuges across America, you don't have to go far to make a special connection with nature. Learn more at fws.gov/refuges. That's fws.gov/refuges.
Of Muskegon, News Talk 1090, WKBZ.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes.
And we're back at EyeOnMuskegon. Jim Riley, your host. We've got Sean Mullally, the legendary Oscar Osbo. And with us, Dr. Abiade, who is running for the mayoral position in the city of Muskegon. And good morning to all again. Dr. Abiade, you are a Lakeside Wesleyan church pastor, family therapist, and apparently an inordinately fit gentleman. And you have decided to take on another challenge, another quest, and that is that of becoming the mayor of the city of Muskegon come, I believe, the primary would be in August of this year. Tell us why you want to do that.
Thank you, Jim, for the introduction. I am very invested in running for mayor of the city of Muskegon for various reasons. One, I think this is a very rich community in terms of resources and leadership, but there's a need for the type of leadership that would bring leaders and businesses and organizations and community neighborhoods together. I believe I have the personality, the experience, the interest, the investment in relationships to move us in the direction that we can and will work together to make Muskegon the city that it should be.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned that you've got connections and you've got experience.
Yes.
This is a job that, frankly, is a political job. You're going to be an elected politician, if you will, and you'll have to deal with other elected politicians on the city council and with the administration, dealing in highly political decisions, with unions being critically powerful, certainly in decision-making, other suppliers and all. Do you have any history in politics?
I do not have history in politics. I have a strong background in conflict management, strong background in organizational development and working with communities and institutions. So I think, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. I think what we need in this season is not a politician, but an individual who has the ability to bring organizations and people to the table for the purpose of moving forward with a clear vision that I think is lacking as a community.
Well, I would tend to agree with you. Let's go to what you just said, though. You have a clear vision. What is that clear vision?
My vision is to move Muskegon to a level that we're competing globally. And
to achieve what, though? Competing with what result?
With the result of having a community, several things. One, education level where young people want to move, young families want to move here because of what we offer educationally, where families want to move here because of our business climate, that a youth, I want to help create a user-friendly business climate where inspections are doing their job, but in a way that is saying to communities, our business, we want you to come here because we have something to offer. How many cities have a lakefront the way we have, the business environment that we have? How many cities have a community as diverse as we have? What we're lacking is the leadership to bring these organizations and communities and groups in harmony to move in a direction that is unified.
Well, Dr. Abiade, I think you've hit the nail on the head when you talk about attracting people to our city. And from the sound of it, from the perspective of yourself, someone who has been there and moved to Muskegon,
yes,
I think you're very well positioned to identify what we need to do to bring more like you here.
Yes.
And that's key, I think.
Well, let me kind of focus in, if we can, on the ultimate goals, because it's nice to talk about, we want to make it nicer and we want to attract and all this kind of thing.
Yes.
But is one of your goals to attract business owners, businesses who obviously one would hope would bring employees? In other words, is that a significant goal, to bring employers from, let's say, Norton Shores and Ottawa County and Kent County and Whitehall, for instance,
yes,
into the city of Muskegon?
My focus is to make Muskegon a core for the county. Actually, the county is called Muskegon County.
Okay, but you're running for the mayor of the city of Muskegon.
Correct,
you're not
correct.
running for county commission seat.
This is true. I would not want to do that. Thank you very much.
I did that. It was lots of fun.
But no, to create in the city an environment where businesses want to come and be a part of the environment that we have. One of the things I hope to have, I've spoken to to various business leaders. And I asked the question, how do we create an environment where people from China, for example, want to come and do business with us? So on an international level, how do we do business where people around the world are saying that this is a place I'd like to do business with? One, we're business friendly, we're user friendly, we have beaches, we have parks, we have recreation, we have close to a 5-star hotel, Shoreline Inn. We have a great a Holiday Inn. So we have the resources. I'm not sure that we've done the best job in promoting what we have.
Well, you said you've asked folks what's necessary. What have they told you that's necessary to either to change or to make more well known locally and internationally? What have they told you?
Well, what I'm hearing as I talk to businesses is several things. One, that while we are talking, we want to have an image of this is the place to be. We have not dealt well with the conflict within, the violence, the unhealthy. We're one of the most unhealthy counties in the state of Michigan, and we have not talked well publicly about it. I'm aware from meeting with people that there are things going on to address these issues, but how do we address these issues so that the public is aware, the public is knowledgeable, and that we invite the public into addressing these issues?
One of the interesting things that you've mentioned is the concept of regionalism.
Yes.
And the reason I ask about this is because there's been a history here in Muskegon County. We've got a lot of different municipalities.
Yes.
Haven't always been able to work in complete harmony. One of the most recent episodes has been a lot of dispute over water services between our various municipalities. And how can you see moving us forward? And this is, I guess, bigger than just the city, but how the city works with surrounding areas and with the county.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I've talked to various leaders about that, our wastewater system is countywide. Mm-hmm. Why can't we model the wastewater system with our water system?
You know, I pardon me for jumping on you here, but as someone who's really been watching the wastewater system, it's broke. It's a disaster. We just lost its biggest customer, and we are going to have absolutely horrible problems countywide because of our dependency on one system that was dependent upon one customer. I would strongly recommend against using that as a model, because that's what many business owners are telling me, is that they're not so interested in moving to Muskegon County because they know that the hookup costs to the wastewater system and the ultimate cost, because we're not charging really what's necessary to keep the system going, is keeping them out because they're fearful of what they're sure will be coming down the pike.
Thank you. I was not aware of that. I appreciate that honor.
You know, I would like, and thank you for your response here. I would like our county folks to you can't fix something if you deny that there's a problem. If the county folks are running around telling everyone things are great, when in fact privately they're saying, oh my golly, we are in deep doo-doo, that's a serious, serious problem. And to me, I know one of the things that you had mentioned as something that was of great interest to you, and that is being more open. You mentioned it here, but you've also mentioned it in some of the other articles that have been written about you. And I know that one of the county commissioners who was in office this past term and has been reelected, I won't say their name, but that county commissioner is quite concerned with the openness and the truthfulness of how the county commission is operating. They did, of course, lose or at least they settled and had to pay financial expense when the county was called on the violations of the Freedom of Information Act and the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
I would imagine that perhaps, as you had suggested, that the city of Muskegon is an area where you're not comfortable with their being as open and honest as you would like them to be. Maybe you want to comment on that.
No. I'm for open and honesty.
No, but you're suggesting that the city of Muskegon ought to be more open and more honest.
Correct. For example, let me share some of the changes I want to make to address that issue, if I may do that. When you sit in a commission meeting, whether it's county or city, it's really not designed for dialogue.
That is the truth.
They make a decision, and then it gives a pseudo presence that we are invested, because at the end you can have public comment. Nobody responds to public comment.
Correct.
You make you say, well, you know, I'm concerned about. I'm just making this up. I'm concerned about the cats barking on the fence on Friday nights. Okay, we heard you, and we go on. That type of environment creates distant relationship.
Absolutely.
You're talking and nobody's responding. It's amazing that people even come to the meetings.
Now, you've suggested having
very
the
few
commission
do.
meetings move around to different neighborhoods.
Well, before we go to that, but let's address this, because the dialogue part is important, because as you know, Sean and Dr. Abiyade, I have not been alone in attending county commission meetings and asking the county commissioners publicly at this time, where the public is allowed to speak, asking some very specific questions. Even some of the newly elected county commissioners, prior to their being sworn in, asked very simple questions, and the response was, "Are there any other questions?" So,
Correct.
How about this dialogue? What would you do to create a greater dialogue?
Well, first of all, what I would do is, my plan is to have at least 4 community forums. We have approximately 16 neighborhood associations. I would divide them up into 4. And each quarter, 4 neighborhood associations will be responsible for a forum where myself, the citywide commissioners, and the commissioner responsible to that ward would appear. What we would do are answer the questions that were not answered at the commission meetings. What we would do is...
It's a great idea. I love this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We would ask people to write. See, you want to have an environment where there's dialogue, but you want to monitor it. For example, we would not have people come up to the mic and ask, because then you get into debate and that discourages others. But we would have people to write their questions. I would also ask that there's a monitor there to make sure we answer the question, to get out of the political verbiage that happens too often, where we answer the question the way we want, but not answering the question. So I'd like to have a monitor.
You know, we're all, I think, all of us who want a better city, better county, better state, better country, better world. We are so sick and tired of hearing our politicians being asked legitimate questions and hearing them give the non-answer. And this, again, this isn't a political, Republican-Democrat issue. This is a politicians versus the rest of us issue.
Correct.
Simple question, totally non-answering response, and then far too often the media, and in our case the media is generally almost entirely the Muskegon Chronicle, just repeating that response with no incredulity, no curiosity, no, hey, wait a minute, you just said something big in response to this. Is there any proof of that? I love what you're talking about, Doctor, is accountability.
Oh, we have to be accountable. And see, part of the problem is we've allowed the environment to be as such that we say that's just the way it is. That's not acceptable to me. That's not acceptable to me.
Oh, boy, I love that too. But we have become used to accepting what ought to be unacceptable.
Yes. Yes.
Well, this is a big step. Let me ask you about specifics. This is one, obviously, a specific in terms of communication with the public. But you certainly have seen some other things that are going on in the city of Muskegon that you would like to change. You'd say, okay, they're doing this. If elected, I will move towards accomplishing something else. Can you have some examples of some of those?
One of the things I would establish as mayor is a cabinet, mayor's business cabinet, where I have representatives from businesses that I'm dialoguing with. Business is not my background. But I don't think the mayor needs to be somebody who is in business but relating to the business background. So I'd like to have a mayor's cabinet for the business community, to maintain a relationship with the business community. I would create a mayor's cabinet for neighborhood associations, but there's an organization already of neighborhood presidents. I would meet with them monthly because the mayor needs to know what is going on in the community. When the mayor stops communicating and meeting with the people, the mayor's out of touch. I don't care what he or she says.
I'm loving what I'm hearing. You got my vote. Now, since I don't live in the city of Muskegon, I'll have to vote illegally, but these days it's not that hard.
Well, don't tell me, because I don't have integrity.
Now, Dr. Abbiati, one idea that you've mentioned that I really like the sound of, and maybe would like to hear a little bit more about, is the notion of a Muskegon Conference Center. And this is somewhat related to the notion of drawing more business here from outside.
Yes. I don't know, and you may know, I don't know of any viable, strong city that doesn't have a conference center.
I think we need one.
Now, in our city, we currently utilize, I believe it's the Holiday Inn as our conference center. That's the extent of it, right? Possibly, I don't know if any events have ever been held at the Walker, but I imagine as the conference center as it would pertain to the county of Muskegon would have to be.
They've got meeting rooms and whatnot, but if you wanted to put on something like you might see in a larger city, like in Grand Rapids, they've got much larger venues.
Yes.
You bet.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think it reflects our leadership, small thinking. I was at the State of the City address yesterday in Grand Rapids. One of the things Mayor Hartwell pushed is that we're risk takers. I like that. People who try to stay safe or stay small. We have to take risks to expand where we are, to push ourselves. And I see the conference center as being viable not only in terms of businesses, but creating community where folk from other nations, countries, cities come do business. We have great thinkers. We have a community college. We have Baker College. We have some top-notch people. Grand Valley has the Merrick. We have great thinkers here. How can we utilize them? In an environment like this, our thinkers go other places to lecture. We want our thinkers and others to come here because we have something to offer.
Let me ask you this, because you may not know, but certainly Sean and Oscar are aware, and most of the listeners of the show are aware, but I'm a fiscally conservative person. And when I hear folks say we need something, and in this case we need a conference center, I know, and I think everyone listening knows, that these aren't free, that someone has to finance it in some manner. Where would the money come from for this grand idea?
Well, I see several areas. One, businesses will have to participate. Two, I'm aware of federal funding that is available to municipalities that are moving towards consolidation. So when we talk about a conference center, we're talking also consolidation where other municipalities in the county and the area can use and participate. So the focus is to, as we develop the conference center, we need to talk about consolidation to tap in federal funds. We need to talk to businesses and help them understand. Let me give you an example, if I may.
Sure.
The manager of Shoreline Inn, his name is Doug. Wonderful person.
Yes.
Doug and I were talking about the conference center, and Doug said, Abbiati, you know what? He said, I would be in favor. Normally, when you have a conference center, it's connected to a hotel. People don't want to go to a conference center and have to take a cab to get home. He said, let me tell you where I am. He understands regionalism. He said, I would be okay if the conference center was connected to the Holiday Inn, because I understand when the conference center is working well, I'm going to get business as well. That's the type of thinking that we need to change and reorientate our leaders. That's not happening now. As I talk to many leaders, is this okay? I don't mean to dominate it. Can I keep going?
Hey, we invited you to hear you speak. Good golly. I'll start waving my hands and doing all sorts of things if we want you to slow down.
I was so excited, I almost jumped up and hugged him, because we have great leaders, but we have very much a silo mentality.
I would agree.
Yes, where we're doing great things on our own, but unless we have that type of regional thinking where when you improve, I'll improve also, we're going to be stuck. And so it's significant. It goes back to why I'm running. I believe I have the capacity to help change that thinking. I have the heart, the desire to change their thinking, to help people understand, as Doug already understands, that as you profit, we profit.
It's very selfless of Doug to say that he wouldn't mind seeing the conference center connected to the Holiday Inn, but I'll say that the best available piece of property for that sort of development is right there next to Shoreline Inn.
Oh.
They've got it right next door, and I would love to see it there.
They're talking about it already.
Yeah.
We're talking about it. And see, the advantage I have also, if you don't mind, is I'm in retired status. I can come to your talk show. I can meet with people in the daytime. I've met with hundreds of people, and I'm going to continue to meet with people. And even after I'm mayor, I'll continue to meet with people because the relationship and the vision is so important. You can have a vision, but you don't have a relationship with people.
Oh, no, just 50 seconds. I did find a way to get you slowed down here. We have a relationship with our listeners, and we have some bills we got to pay. So we're going to go to a break, but we will be back to extrapolate on this vision and on this relationship with Dr. Abiade and Sean and myself, and we'll be right back, folks.
Hi.
Hi.
You're Gillian Anderson, and you're going to the 15th floor.
Yes. Yes, I am. That's why I pushed the button with a 15 on it.
Did you know that beetles taste like apples?
Excuse me?
Sorry. When I get nervous, I share unnecessary factoids.
How about sharing some necessary factoids instead?
Fingernails grow faster than toenails. Oh, idiot.
Guess I'll start. Neurofibromatosis, or NF, is the single most common genetic disorder of the nervous system, occurring in 1 in every 3,000 births.
Camels have 3 eyelids.
And on February 16th and 17th, NF Michigan will be part of Roof Off, Game On, a hockey festival and fundraiser in Muskegon. Live music, open skates for the kids, high school hockey teams from across the state, and more.
That's good to know.
There you go.
Slugs have 4 noses. Sorry.
It's okay.
Learn more at roofoffgameon2013.org.
I love cocktail party trivia like this. From 1939 to 1942, there was an undersea post office in the Bahamas. Fortunately, Radio Juniper always has a smart and interesting guest to help offset my lack of knowledge about things that actually matter. Tune in to Radio Juniper every Wednesday morning at 9 on News Talk 1090 WKBZ to learn some important stuff and some not so important stuff. Guess which ingredient I'm adding to the soup?
Car number 7 is pulling into the pit.
Team, I want peak performance. Let's go over my diabetes checklist.
Start taking action now for diabetes.
Medications. Got them. And my insulin supplies.
Exercise. Check. At least 30 minutes most days. Blood sugar level? On target. Diet? Eating healthy.
And your A1C is under control.
Keeping your blood pressure and your cholesterol in the zone is also important.
Check. How am I doing?
Your numbers are looking good. You're good to go.
Thanks, team.
Whoa, look at number 7 racing out of the pit.
Managing diabetes, including controlling blood sugar, is a team effort. Keeping your body at its peak performance requires a plan that's right for you. Take the wheel and start taking action now for diabetes. For more information, visit standfordiabetes.org. That's standfordiabetes.org.
A public service of TCOYD made possible with support from Sanofi Aventis US.
I knew I had a problem.
I tried counting calories, eating and eating.
Nobody else could possibly understand.
We understand. We're Overeaters Anonymous, and we have helped thousands of people stop their compulsive eating and start living a healthy, rewarding life.
With OA, I am living again and loving it.
Start living the life you deserve with help from Overeaters Anonymous. Find us on the web at oa.org.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos, you got your damn hand.
Those government sorry so-and-sos might be a little shaken in their boots with Dr. Abiade's landing in our community. We're talking with mayoral candidate, among other things, Dr. Abiade and Sean Mullally, and Oscar Osbo and I were having a little chat off the air. And Oscar, you had a good point, or at least we're talking about the optimism and let's change the culture and let's think outside the box. And Oscar, your response is?
I don't know how long you've been here, Muskegon, but I came here about 30 years ago from the Detroit area, and seeing this area, I thought, wow, this place has, what opportunity this place has. And I tried in radio for many years to try to bring out these things and see the people thinking outside the box, so to speak. And in the 30 years, I decided to move to Whitehall because I couldn't see anybody doing that. I mean, it wouldn't change. You talk about change, but this community has been locked in this non-changing way for so many years. How are you going to make that change? How are you going to make these people believe what you say and change?
Because a lot of people agree with Oscar, and a lot of people who have left agree with Oscar, and we all have contacts, in particular with people who live in Ottawa County, and a lot of the folks who live in Ottawa County, in particular my friends that live in Spring Lake and Grand Haven, they'll look at us and say, you guys, you're a mess. I'm not even going to go north of that border.
Mm-hmm. And I do love Muskegon too. I mean, I do love Muskegon. When I first came here, I just thought, wow, what a place.
There is a funk, but I'll say it's certainly not unanimous.
Well, it isn't unanimous, but it's enough to have kept us be one of the only counties in the state of Michigan, one of the only counties probably in the country to have not gained any population whatsoever in the last 10-year census. We're one of the few counties in the country that has actually got fewer employees today than we had 10 years ago. And if you take out the public side of the employees, we are really hurting. We have almost, our private sector employment is really taking a big hit. So enough people are skeptical enough, as Oscar has suggested, that they're saying, our problem isn't that they're moving to China. They're not moving to India. They're moving to Indiana. Yes. They're moving to Ottawa County. They're moving to Kent County. We are surrounded by two counties that are booming, absolutely booming. The #1 job market in the United States of America, the #1 city is Holland. So, China's nice, India, worry about India, Mexico, all these horrible countries that are the giant sucking sound. The giant sucking sound we're hearing comes from people who speak and look just like us and live about 2 miles south of this radio station. So how are we going to overcome that?
Jim Riley thinks, let's hear what Dr. Abiati thinks.
Hey, now, I'm the host, and I'm getting static here. But there we go. Let's go. Okay, but how do we, the reason I spoke that was I wanted to articulate those arguments that have been clearly articulated to me by others. How do we overcome that?
Oscar, thank you for asking that question. I want you to know I've spoken, as I said earlier, to hundreds of people, and there's a community of people who feel the same way you have identified to me. And let me say this. In that pocket of community, I cannot tell you the amount of people who are excited. They see a glimpse of hope in my energy, my zeal, my vision, and they question, can you do that? Now, let me share. First of all, I can't change anybody, but I have an excitement myself. I think of people like Martin Luther King. I'm sure Martin Luther King had the same response. You're in a system that's totally against you, but he was so committed to his vision that we still celebrate it today. Now, I don't think I'm so committed that we're going to be celebrated, and it's not about me, but I'm so created to this vision of moving Muskegon out of yesterday and into tomorrow. Let me give you some examples. For example, as mayor, I have expectations from the commissioners. I expect the commissioners to have a forum in their wards at least once every 6 months. I expect them to come back with a report of what's going on. I want the city to know that they're being heard. I think part of the problem is people don't feel they're being heard. Right. And so part of moving to out of that gap that you have identified is creating an environment, one, where people are heard, two, where the mayor has expectations of the commission, three, when the mayor has expectations of the city manager and the whole city, of us working together. I like the structure. Grand Rapids City, for example, has the same structure we have. It's city-led. Excuse me. It's city manager-led, but city mayor directed.
Are you suggesting then that you would be a more powerful, or maybe that's the wrong word, but certainly more forceful, a more involved mayor?
Oh, for sure, for sure. And let me play back on your word. In terms of the charter, the mayor has very little power, but in terms of the status, few people have more influence than the mayor of the city. It has not been utilized because the vision was not there.
The bully pulpit is there if you use it, right?
Well, I think the other thing that you said, too, is you get the people involved. You kind of feel like your voice is silent in Muskegon when you're talking because nobody listens.
And you can involve those people if you utilize the bully pulpit as an advocate for the people, as opposed to advocating rules that keep the people out. And I would like to suggest, as someone who's had great interest in our county government, because I believe the county government is truly the leader in terms of attracting businesses to our county. Cities also certainly should be partners in that. But the city of Muskegon is unquestionably the largest, the most powerful, and the biggest reason for our county's existence.
Right.
I am shocked at how rare I ever see a city mayor at any level attend a county commission meeting, a township leader at any level attend a county commission meeting, and I suspect you might say the same thing as someone who attends City of Muskegon meetings at how few county commissioners have ever bothered to come to your meeting and do a hands-on question and answer with the issues that are important to the city of Muskegon. And you've got, of course, 2 county commissioners who have parts of the city that would be Ben Cross and Rolstein Wilkins currently. You had 3 not long ago. How do you feel about that? The fact that they like to stay in their cubby holes and the mayors seem to be real comfortable in their cubby holes. There doesn't seem to be much interaction. We're talking, India and Kent County and everything else. We can't even get our own county and city leaders to get together publicly.
Well, nobody's taken the leadership to move us in that direction.
If nobody cares, it isn't going to happen.
Oh, correct.
What a concept.
Well, you should be running for mayor, Jim.
I think I already got my vote cast here.
But those are the type of visionary behavior expectations that have not been articulated. The county should expect the mayors and leaders of our county to frequent the county commission as much as they are able. The city ought to expect the representatives, not only the commissioners from the city, but from the county, every now and then to come to our meetings and just share what's going on. We can't see, you can talk about a unified relationship, but it means nothing if it's not lived out. And so we need to rethink, restructure our relationships and our structure so that expectation exists of not only the county but the city to be in relationship with each other. One other thing, then I know you're waiting for me to get through.
Not at all. No, I'm good at interrupting.
All right. I affirm that statement. Anyway, I'm just playing to you. Great. And so it's like education. My background, I have a doctorate degree. As you know, I have 2 of them, matter of fact. And I've taught graduate and undergraduate school. My students know that I expect A work when you come into class. You don't come into class expecting a lecture. You haven't read the book. So I give pop quizzes. So my point is the leadership has to articulate and not only a vision where we're going, but expectations. And I don't think anybody in this city should be more accountable than the mayor.
One thing I've got to ask you about, Dr. Abiade, is one of the starkest statistics for our community is our lack of college degrees. And I've got a strong interest in this with my role on the board of Muskegon Community College. How do we improve that? And one of the things that's been looked at in the past is a Muskegon Promise Zone modeled after the Kalamazoo Promise. It's stalled for lack of available funding, but is that worth another look? Are there other strategies that we can approach?
Oh, yes. I thought you'd never ask.
I was going to make sure I got it in.
I think the Kalamazoo Promise was great, and I know there are people who are trying to engineer that to be repeated here. I think that's a great idea. I have something that's less costly. One of the things I've done, I spoke to Dr. Nesber and Dr. Lee, presidents of Baker and the community college. I spoke to the superintendent of the high school. One of the things I suggested is that the colleges have independent studies. Let's let's use those students to help me out in the elementary school. I'm going to explain that in a minute, but I'm just talking resources. Let's use those students, give them independent studies where they can come into elementary school and work with this program I'm about to tell you about. In high schools, very often, I know all my kids were honor students. They all received full academic scholarships. When my daughters were senior in high school, they had to take fluffy classes because they failed all their requirements. Instead of making these students take fluff classes, let's use them in the elementary school. Now, why the elementary school? The formation of our discipline for learning is cemented by the 3rd grade. Now, I'm talking research, not opinion. Cemented by 3rd grade. So we have all these resources that we're not using. Let's use the resources in the city to have these students go into elementary school, mostly 1st to 3rd grade, do tutoring. Now, here's my idea. What I want to do is develop what I call the mayor's race. Stay with me. You with me so far?
I'm with you, Dave.
And so, it's hard to attract students and say, oh, we're going to come and sit down and study with you. What we want to do is, I'm going to go and talk to the students. I'm going to go, y'all act like you're elementary school students. Come on, go ahead. You do a good job acting like that. Okay. and so what I'm going to do is go into school and say, listen, I'm old enough to be your grandfather, but I can beat all of y'all running 3 blocks. That's trash talk. You want to stimulate the students to respond. So my trash talk is stimulate. I'm going to beat all of you. And so we're going to get the students involved. So what I have is the college independent studies students. I'll have the high school students come to work with these elementary kids to run 3 blocks and beat me. Now here's the disguise of the plan. While they're there, before they run with the kids, they're going to tutor them. They're going to talk to them about college. They're going to talk to them about vision. They're going to talk to them about what they want to do. That's the real focus when I'm getting at education. But while we're doing it, then they have to run 3 blocks in preparation to beat me. Now, the goal is I'm not going to win. I want the kids to go home. Can you imagine go home? I whipped the mayor today. Yes, I love it. I love that. Yes.
I think perhaps the county, the city. The council would probably like to be able to say that in some instances.
Bring it on.
All right.
And I think you would whip them all with push-ups.
Oh, yeah,
we have seen that.
See, they messed up. I messed up in doing all those. Now, I can't change. I spent 3 weeks preparing for my my announcement.
Yeah.
You know what people remember?
Yes.
Just the push-ups. People still talking about it. I said, babe, I told my wife, I said, I think I messed up on that one.
It is an important message, though, and it really hits home that we need to focus on the health of our community.
Yes.
I'm going to interrupt here just because I want to get back to a couple of things that you've said and what Sean had suggested, and that is the use of the bully pulpit. Time and again, one of the most frustrating things that those of us who care about this county and our cities and our townships within the county, one of the most frustrating aspects of bringing up an idea to a county commissioner or a city council person or others in government is you'll bring it to them and they will say, as our county commission chairman Ken Mahoney has so often said, well, that's not our responsibility. That's not what we do. You're talking about very specifically getting involved in the education problem, and it's a very serious problem. If you look at the MEAP scores, I can't tell you how many families have told me I'm not going to move to Muskegon because I'd have to put my kids in private school. We're just going to move to Norton Shores or some of the other surrounding communities and put them in a school system that will educate them. But as mayor, the bully pulpit, even though you're not school board members, the head of the school board, but it does allow you, the bully pulpit, to address a problem that sadly we know has been totally unaddressed in Muskegon Heights until it totally collapsed and ran out of money. As a matter of fact, it had collapsed decades before. It wasn't educating people. I would have thought that, about 3 or 4 years ago when the Muskegon Heights High School was picked as the absolute worst high school in the state of Michigan, a state that includes Detroit and Flint, that something might have happened. But what happened? No. They continued going until they finally ran out of money. I love the concept of an activist mayor who doesn't just view his job as to what's on a little 3x5 card and is interested in looking to make the community that you live in better, and certainly our educational system is one of those.
I need to tell you something that's not on the docket. I failed the 5th grade. I failed the 5th grade. You want to know something else?
I bet you were trouble in the 5th grade.
Oh, man.
Yeah, today we call you doctor.
And today we call you doctor.
I have to tell you one other thing. In the 9th grade, I took a state exam. My reading level in the 9th grade was 1.1. Does anybody know what that means?
No.
It means in the 9th grade, I read at the 1st grade, first month reading level in the 9th grade. So my investment is not simply academic. I've been there, and I've had people tell me I'll never be anything. I had people tell me you won't make it. I had people tell me that the prison is waiting for you. Can you imagine growing up with that?
Yes, okay. It's got to be debilitating. And as a matter of fact, I think many people would say that's too tough of a challenge. You could never possibly pull out of that. What did you do?
I decided that I didn't want to live on welfare. I grew up on welfare. My father left. My mother had 7 children on welfare. I remember the welfare worker coming. Somebody gave my mother an iron. She had an iron. Someone gave my mother an iron. They went through the closet. I remember as if it was yesterday, telling my mother she had to get rid of 1 iron to stay on welfare.
Yeah.
Jim, I said I didn't want to grow up like that.
You didn't ask for more help. You just went and did it.
I went and did it.
I've got to move us on because we are running low on time here. One area where the community has had a very big discussion is the what to do with the Sappi project or the Sappi land. Lots of angry public meetings, but to the credit of the City of Muskegon leaders, lots of those meetings. What are you going to do about that? Because that's a biggie.
I think it's a big issue. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, how much I can do about it. Sappi sold that to Melching. There were contractual agreements. The city's going to court. Personally, I don't think the city can win that battle.
Okay, let's move on then, because that seems to be the standard. We have to take a break? Okay, we're going to take a break, and we will be back. We're going to hit them with some toughies right after the break.
Bring it on.
This is Mike McCready. You probably know me as one of the founding members of the rock band Pearl Jam and the band's lead guitarist. For the last 24 years, I've been living with Crohn's disease, a chronic and often painful digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is committed to transforming the lives of those impacted by Crohn's and colitis toward a future based on well-funded, cutting-edge research. You can help by joining one of CCFA's 130 Take Steps walks taking place around the country this year. Make the decision now to join us and take a step toward a future free from Crohn's and colitis. Sign up today at www.cctakesteps.org. That's cctakesteps.org. Take a step. Register today.
The Exquisite Corpse. A very unusual and completely amazing story pieced together out of so many parts that it is not possible to describe them all here, so go ahead and just start reading. The full moon lights the silver rails winding around dark mountains and over steep gorges of jagged rock and one freezing cold rushing black mountain river. I wish there was enough time to describe all of the funny twists and turns, especially the elephant clown party, that led up to now, but there isn't enough time because there is a ticking clock, and the 2 passengers we care most about don't know anything about it. In a sleeping berth in the 3rd car from the end of the train are 2 children, 11-year-old twins who have just run away from the circus. The girl's name is Nancy, the boy's name is Joe. They have no idea that those are not their true names, though they will figure it out soon enough. To see what happens next, visit read.gov to read The Exquisite Corpse, a riveting adventure pieced together by John Sheska, Shannon Hale, Daniel Handler, and other popular authors. Explore new worlds. Read. This exciting message is brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
If you love food
and your heart, go grocery shopping with me, MON, short for mono unsaturated fat.
And me, polyunsaturated.
We're the better fat sisters. Over here in the cooking oil aisle, choose canola, olive, and other vegetable oils. Liquids are better for your heart than solid fats.
You'll also find us in fresh foods like avocados, nuts, and fish.
Before you put any baked goods, packaged, and prepared foods in your cart, read the labels.
Avoid our bad fats brothers, saturated and trans. They love to clog your arteries.
We're heart healthier, but let's face it, we're fats.
We all have the same 9 calories per gram, so watch your portions.
And thanks for shopping with us.
The Better Fat Sisters. Be kinder to your heart. Learn more and get recipes at heart.org/facethefats. Nationally sponsored by Canola Info.
Hi, I'm Jenny Garth. Heart disease is something I live with every day. It runs in my family, and it took my dad's life. So I'm choosing to speak up, and so can you. Tell people how it's the #1 killer of women. Tell them 1 woman dies every minute from it, and that 80% of cardiac events in women may be prevented if you make the right choices today. Join American Heart Association's Go Red for Women. Speak up to save lives at goredforwomen.org.
America had just gone to war when Felipe Adams volunteered.
I took a bullet to the side and left me paralyzed.
For Armando de la Rosa, the Navy was a chance to serve and see the world.
I got medically discharged in 2001.
For injured veterans like Felipe Adams, there are veterans like Armando de la Rosa ready to help.
Our training is to better the veteran.
Paralyzed Veterans of America, changing lives, building futures. Visit PVA.org.
24,000 children die every day from preventable causes. My name is Salma Hayek, and I believe that number should be 0. Believe in 0.
Join the effort. Visit UNICEFUSA.org.
I see this ad on TV. I call, they told me to stop paying my bills, stop talking to my creditors, they'd take care of everything.
I gave them thousands, but most of it went to their fees.
Getting out of debt isn't easy. Talk to your creditors directly or visit debtadvice.org. Real solutions for real people. This has been a public service message.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes.
That dadgum government. Maybe there's going to be a new sheriff in town. We got a gentleman here with us, Dr. Abiadi, and we've got Sean and Oscar and myself, Jim Riley, here at EyeOnMuskegon. Just a few minutes left here. I want to attack Dr. Abiadi on a couple of the issues that have been important to me. We know that the Cobb plant is, if not the largest, certainly one of the biggest taxpayers to the city of Muskegon, not accepting the rest of the county, but certainly to the city of Muskegon. That means a significant decline in revenue to the city. And, of course, the closing of Sappi has already affected it, and there's any number of new expenses and all. And there's been a big outcry over something relatively inexpensive, which is senior transit, where the city of Muskegon has provided transportation for apparently senior citizens. It's a money issue. I know that Mayor Warmington had done, I think, a wonderful job in going around to the various communities last summer before, talking about the term, I think I have incorrectly, community policing, but getting folks to start looking about their neighborhoods, look out for your neighbors, keep an eye on if you see suspicious people, things of that sort. And one of his arguments was that, look, we're going to be faced with reduced revenue, and we may very well have problems in terms of keeping the adequate or the current level of policing available. So we've got senior transit, we've got policing, we've got any number of cuts that are likely to come about because of reduced revenues. And, of course, you've got some very good ideas in terms of bringing the conference centers, things of that sort. What are you going to do? There's not enough money to do these things any longer. How are you going to help that? Because, to me, that's the biggest issue. No mon, no fun.
I kind of alluded to some of that earlier when I talked about there's federal funding and state funding for municipalities that are moving towards consolidation. And so part of being effective is doing research and knowing where the funding is, and then modeling yourself in a way that you align with the specs for that funding so that you can receive the funding to do what you want to do. One of the things I like to propose is what I call a functional consolidation. In functional consolidation, you don't exactly take away the authority of municipalities, but there's a contractual relationship where you share, for example, fire department, police department, educational resources, and you work together. And then I recommend that for like a 2 or 3 year period, and then move towards consolidation to tap into federal funding. There's too much duplication. It's not that we don't have the money, we use the money poorly.
But you're going to have to, if I'm reading you correctly here, you're going to have to convince folks in Whitehall and in Laketon Township and in city of Norton Shores, city of Muskegon Heights, that they are better off giving up control to the folks in the city of Muskegon to make decisions, spending decisions, on their behalf. Right now, that's an argument that I can assure you isn't going to fly very well.
Correct.
How would you do things? How would you be able to accomplish these things, given? And I don't think it's necessarily that the folks in Whitehall and Montague are a bunch of dumb gomers or anything. They're saying, wait a minute, we like making our own decisions. I don't want to give up my control to folks in the city of Muskegon.
First of all, I agree with them.
Well, there we go.
I agree with them.
So okay, but you still want to have some of that consolidation, which the consolidation is just a nice word for giving up control to somebody else.
That's one way of looking at it. It's kind of like the glass half empty, half full. Thank you for sharing the half empty. Let me take you to the full.
I figured there was another way to look at it.
First of all, and I don't want to name any names, I've spoken to other municipalities, and some of what I'm hearing is that we don't really want to come to the table with Muskegon because Muskegon comes to the table that we're the big dog.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to dispel that. First of all, I'm not a dog, and secondly,
but you're a push-up kind of guy, and you can probably beat up most of the people sitting at that table.
Jim, thanks for the help. So, in order to do consolidation, there needs to be a fairness at the table. And my concept of fairness is one person, one vote. And we have to agree together so we get away, we dispel that big dog mentality that we're all talking together. And what I hope to do is present and package my ideas in a way that affirms nurtures the type of
this
thinking
is
that
WKBZ Muskegon and WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
And here's where I may get in trouble, Jim. My process of bringing people together is I need to show them how I'm losing for the benefit of us all. When I model that as a mayor, and I need to ask Muskegon to give me grace to do that. When I model that as the mayor, then other municipalities are more willing to engage the consolidation.
On that comment, I'm going to have to end it there, and I think that's a winning view, because in fact what you do is you take the advantages of consolidation. In other words, you take the advantages of a larger voice, but you allow the individual municipalities in this case their independence and their vote. I love that. Hey, one of my favorite economists, and we started the show off with Thomas Sowell, but he's got another comment that I find very compelling, and it certainly fits this discussion. Quote, "The first lessons of economics is scarcity. There is never enough of anything to fully satisfy all those who want it. The first lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of economics." And we cannot go out and promise things that we do not have. It doesn't sound to me like you're interested in doing that at all. You want to address the problems, and you want to face right up to them. I love that. Hey, couple final messages. Again, we're only going to be having one county commission meeting. It will be the full board meeting where they will in fact revisit and vote to lock it in, this prevailing wage issue. If you're interested in this issue countywide, Tuesday is the time to be there. I'll be at Carmen's from 2 to 3:15, and you're welcome to visit me there. Don't forget, we do post the full audio of this show on EyeOnMuskegon.com. That's EYE on Muskegon, all one word, on Sunday afternoons. My show prep, which is MuskegonPundit.com, tells you what's going on for next week and what's kind of interesting to me this week. We're on the Talkin' Muskegon show Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 9 with John Van Wyck and Brian Worsham. And we're on prime time every Monday night, 8 to 9:30. And guys, thank you, Sean, Dr. Abiade, Oscar, all you wonderful listeners. Next Sunday, I Am Muskegon. Oscar and I will continue our quest for truth, justice, and the American way. Hey, stay tuned right after Polka Time. Mike Hewitt's Renegade River Show. Great show. And folks, have a great week in our little piece of heaven. Next week, we'll put the eye on you, Muskegon.
Well, don't you love him sometime? Hey, boy. you love me sometime. Whoa.
It's official. Cash for Clunkers is back. Only at the Benton Used Car Super Center on Henry Street. Hurry, for a limited time only. Benton is paying you $3,500 or more for your clunker. Every vehicle in our massive used car inventory is on sale. Hurry, for a limited time only. Everything has been drastically reduced for this official Cash for Clunkers sales event. Shop the largest selection of GM certified vehicles, low miles and lower prices. Malibu, Silverado, Avalanche, Equinox, Cadillacs, you name it. And they're all on sale. Hurry, for a limited time only. Plus your clunker is worth $3,500 or more. That's right, $3,500 or more. So stop what you're doing and get to the Benton Used Car Super Center for this official Cash for Clunker sales event. Hurry, for a limited time only. Drag it, pull it. We'll take anything on trade and give you $3,500 or more for it. Hurry, for a limited time only. Nobody sells more pre-owned vehicles than we do. Get here today and save. It's where Michigan shops. Only at the Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's Used Car Super Center, Henry Street, Muskegon. Your official Cash for Clunkers headquarters. Hurry, for a limited time only.
This is WKBZ Muskegon and WOOD HD2 Muskegon.